Lions faith. Right now in Detroit, something extraordinary is taking shape. While everyone's been focused on the obvious defensive needs after what happened in these playoffs, I've been digging deeper into something that could completely shift how we approach this upcoming draft. And I'm telling you, what I'm about to share with you today might be the most exciting offensive possibility we haven't talked enough about. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your home for breaking news, insider analysis, and the real stories behind every move our beloved franchise. Here, you're going to get the most up-to-date information, credible speculation, and a true fan's perspective on everything happening in Honolulu blue and silver. So stick with me through this entire video, because what's emerging about our draft strategy is absolutely game-changing. Let me start by setting the stage, because I think a lot of people are missing the bigger picture. The 17th overall pick is locked in. We know where we're drafting, and that clarity is actually huge for our planning. But here's where it gets interesting. Everyone assumes we're going defense, defense, defense. And look, I get it. After watching our secondary get picked apart mattered most, after seeing injuries devastate our cornerback room 2 years running, logical moves obvious. Fix the defense, add that shutdown corner, grab that game-wrecking linebacker, and trust. Those options are absolutely on and we're going to talk about. But football isn't always about doing these things. Sometimes the most impactful moves are the ones that catch everyone off guard. Sometimes building a championship roster means doubling down on your strengths while you address your weakness through different avenues. And that's exactly what I want to explore with you today, because there's a scenario developing that could make our offense absolutely unstoppable. And I mean that literally. Think about where we are right now as a franchise. We just lost Ben Johnson, one of the most creative offensive minds in football. That's a massive blow, no question about it. John Morton stepped in as play caller this past season, and let's be honest, the results were mixed. Dan Campbell himself tried to take over those duties at times, and while I love Coach Campbell's intensity and leadership, play calling isn't necessarily his strongest suit. We saw an offense that underperformed relative to expectation. 2020, we saw moments of brilliance followed by stretches of inconsistency, and that's concerning when you have the weapons we have on this roster. Because make no mistake, we have weapons. Jared Goff is a legitimate franchise quarterback who's proven he can execute at an elite level when given the right pieces around him. Sam Laporta emerged as one of the best tight ends in football, giving us a security blanket over the middle that opposing defenses have to respect on every single snap. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an absolute monster, a receiver who can dominate from the slot or outside, who runs routes with precision, who fights for every yard, and who embodies everything we want in a Lion. And Jameson Williams, when healthy and focused, has that explosive element that defenses absolutely fear. That speed, that ability to take the top off a defense, that big play threat that keeps safeties honest. But here's the thing. In today's NFL, having 3 legitimate receiving threats isn't a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. Look at the teams that consistently win, and look at the offense that can score against anyone, anywhere, in any situation. They all have one thing in common: multiple weapons that force defenses to make impossible choices. You can't double everyone. You can't bracket 3 different receivers and still stop the run. You can't play conservative coverage and also prevent explosive plays. The math just doesn't work in the defense's favor when an offense has true depth at the skill position. And that brings me to what's been on my mind lately and recently, what I think could be an absolute mess if Brad Holmes' front office have the courage to pull it off. We're all assuming the pick at 17 is going to defend. Avion Terrell from Clemson is a name I've heard thrown around constantly. He's AJ. Terrell's younger brother plays that same physical, aggressive style of corner that would fit perfectly in Aaron Glenn's, our defensive scheme, whoever ends up coordinating. The kid can mirror routes. He's willing to tackle. He's got that competitive edge Dan Campbell loves. At 5'11" and 180 pounds, there are some size concerns, but the talent is undeniable. He'd be a solid pick, a safe pick, a pick that makes sense on paper. Then there's C.J. Allen from Georgia, another Bulldog coming into the draft with incredible pedigree. Kirby Smart's program has become the new pipeline to the NFL, churning out first-round talent year after year. Allen is that versatile linebacker who can do everything: run support, coverage, pass rush, you name it. He's got the speed to play sideline to sideline, the instincts to diagnose plays before they develop, and the physical presence to set the tone in the middle of our defense. Again, perfect fit for what we need. Perfect fit for how Dan Campbell wants to play football. Another pick that would make complete sense. But here's where I want you to really think about this. What if the best way to help our defense isn't necessarily drafting defensive players? What if the best way to protect a vulnerable secondary is to make sure our offense is so dominant that we're always playing with the lead, always controlling the clock, always putting pressure on the other team to keep up with us? What if instead of trying to patch holes on defense, we go out and make our offense so explosive, so impossible to defend, that it changes the entire dynamic of how games play out? I'm talking about Makai Lemon. And before you jump into the comments saying I've lost my mind, hear me out completely. This kid is special. I've watched his tape extensively, studied his college production, and more importantly, I've thought deeply about what he could mean for this Lions offense specifically. What stands out immediately is his footwork exception. The ability to stop on a dime, to create instant separation in the middle of route, to make defenders commit and then explode in a different direction. That's not something you can teach. It's natural feel for the game combined with technical math. Now imagine this receiving core. Amon-Ra St. Brown working from the slot and occasionally flexing aside. Jamison Williams stretching the field vertically, forcing safeties stay deep, creating space underneath. And Makai Lemon giving us another dimension entirely, another weapon that defensive coordinators have to account for in their game planning. With Sam Laporta commanding attention over the middle as well, you're looking at a situation where there literally aren't enough defenders to cover everyone. Someone's always going to be open. Someone's always going to have an advantage. And here's the part really. Isaac Tesla has shown real promise, a backup receiver. The young man has talent. He's got potential, and having him as your fourth option rather than being forced to rely on his starter changes every depth matters in this. Injuries happen. Matchups change week to week. And having legitimate options means you're never in a situation where you're desperately trying to find someone who can contribute. Think about what this does for Jared Goff. Our quarterback thrives when he can work aggressions, when he can find the open man rather than forcing throws into tight cover. Giving him 3 elite receivers plus Laporta means Goff can play to his strengths every single snap. The quick passing game becomes lethal. Play action becomes nearly impossible to defend because you have to respect both the run and multiple vertical threat. The offense becomes virtually impossible to game plan against because there are just too many weapons to contain. And let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, our defense needs help. Yes, we've had injury problems in the secondary. Yes, adding talent on that side of the ball makes sense. But drafting a defensive player at 17 doesn't guarantee those problems get solved. Injuries can happen to anyone. Scheme fits don't always work out the way you expect. Rookies take time to develop, especially in the secondary where the learning curve is steep. Meanwhile, adding an explosive offensive weapon has immediate impact. It changes how defenses approach us from week one. It creates opportunities for everyone else on off. And most important, gives us the ability to outscore anyone, which is ultimately how you win in this. I know some of you are thinking this is too aggressive, too risky, too much of a departure from conventional wisdom, but conventional wisdom is what keeps teams stuck in mediocrity. The Lions haven't won a championship since 1957. We've tried playing it safe. We've tried following the blueprint everyone else followed. Where has that gotten us? Maybe it's time to be bold. Maybe it's time to say we're going to build an offense so dynamic, so explosive, so impossible to stop that it doesn't matter what's happened side of the ball. We're going to outscore, period. And look, Makai Lemon isn't a reach 17. This is a legitimate first-round talent we're talking. The kid has the production measurable, the technique. He's not a project. He's not a developmental guy. He's someone who can contribute immediately, potentially become a star in this. Adding him alongside St. Brown and Williams gives us what could legitimately be the best receiving core in the entire NFC. And that's not hype. That's a realistic assessment of what these 3 players can be when you put them together. The draft is still months. Things will change, boards will shift, and we'll get more information as we get closer to draft. But right now, in this moment, I'm telling you that Makai Lemon to the Lions makes more sense than people realize. It's the kind of move that could define the next era of Lions football. It's the kind of pick that could be the difference between being a good team and being a great team. And it's absolutely worth serious consideration as we head into what might be the most important offseason in recent franchise history. So, Lions Nation, I want to know what you think about. Does adding Makai Lemon make sense to you? Would you rather see us go defense with that 17th pick? And what do you think about this idea of of doubling down on offensive firepower instead of trying to patch defensive holes. Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to hear from you. This is our team, this is our future, and we're all in this together. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Here at Lions News Fan Report, you're getting insider analysis, breaking news, and the most comprehensive Lions coverage anywhere on YouTube. Don't miss a single update as we move through this critical offseason. I'll be here breaking down every move, every possibility, every angle that matters to Lions fans. Until next time, one, pride.